I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, August the 9th, and fall is coming, guys. It's right around the corner. Any of you guys that are going to have livestock production sales, purebred bull sales, breeding stock, anything like that, be sure and get your sale consigned with DV Auction, where we can broadcast that thing online and take online bids from all over the country and all over the world for that matter. But DV Auction does more but livestock production sales in a year's time than all the others put together for a reason. We've got the largest number of users that have logged into our website and who regularly shop the online catalogs. We've got the largest pool of approved registered buyers that you can get right on there, guys you wouldn't even be thinking about, that get on there and bid on your livestock. And just be sure and get a hold of it. Don't wait till it's too late. We can do your video work for you. We can have a TV sale where you don't have to run the stuff through the ring. Whatever you want to do, and it's all pretty affordable. But going to give a shout out to the employer here, DV Auction, and don't miss that if you've got a production sale coming up this fall, and don't let spring get here before you get that consigned too. Let's look at the board on Wednesday. October live cattle futures up 7 cents to end the day at 111 even. Your August spot live cattle down just a quarter at 109.82, and your fats are just about steady all the way through all the traded months there on Wednesday. But feeder cattle quite a bit higher. October feeder cattle up 47 cents at 149.97. Your spot August feeders up 80 cents at 150.65. So maybe a little recovery on some of those losses we've seen on the feeder cattle here recently. Look at your fat cattle trade. Of course, we haven't had the bulk of the trade yet, but there's been a little bit of spotty stuff going around. Through Tuesday, they'd sold 5,700 in the 5 area feeding region, is a little bit more than a lot of times that early in the week. But your live sales are from 109 to mostly 112, and dress sales from 175 to mostly 178. And then on Wednesday morning, had some more trade. Iowa sold some more cattle at 109 and some dress cattle at 179. Nebraska sold about 2,500 head, so nothing to sneeze at there, at 112 and 179. Did notice on Cattle Market Central out of Mitchell, South Dakota, they had a pretty good jag of fat cattle there, 67 head, weighed 1,241 pounds at 114. But those cattle will likely go back on feed at only 1,240 pounds. Once upon a time, that was a weight that we would assume to be finished cattle, but those cattle will most likely go back on feed for another 30 to 60 days to finish them out at a bigger weight there and a higher quality grade. Some that sale at Mitchell and some other sales around that sold some fat cattle, 108 to 109 mostly stopped them there in the ring, but still a pretty good market, and that's not too bad of a way to sell cattle up in the upper Midwest there, and in Iowa and places where we've got farmer feeders to pump them through the ring just like the old times. But let's look at your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on Beef Market Central late in the day on Wednesday, 149.66, down just 45 cents, so basically about steady, and holding in there pretty good with 150 about your market on 8-weight steers there on the low side of them. We're seeing some spotty rain around all over through the midsection of the country. Down here in the southern plains, we've been seeing some. My friends up in northeastern New Mexico have been getting it about every night. The Oklahoma Panhandle has been living right and getting some rain, and it has come through here in the Texas Panhandle and Oklahoma and the central parts and all over, and it all has to do with your living. A guy told me, he said, you don't ever want to get caught dancing or fooling around with women during the daylight hours, or it might not ever rain at your house again. So I've been trying to be real careful about that. But let's look at some quotes in the ring on Wednesday. OKC West, your biggest sale in the country, 8,000 head of cattle sold this week, and most of them yearlings on Wednesday. feeder steers $2 to $4 higher. Now the feeder heifer market was 1 to 3 lower than the active heifer market they had just a week ago. So not a real big disparage, but maybe there was a few more steer buyers than there was heifer buyers. But you start to see a lot of those guys that are getting close to harvesting that corn and up in the Midwest. They're coming down. I know I talked to Brad Hahn there at Fredonia, Kansas, and he said they had some buyers come down, farmer feeder type buyers, to their sale on Tuesday, and really got aggressive buying some of these feeder cattle to take with them back home. And a lot of times when those guys come down, they prefer steers. They want to make them weigh 1,500–1,600 pounds, and they can make a steer do that without getting him overdone easier than a heifer. But that really doesn't explain your heifer trend out of El Reno, but it's just food for thought there. You look at the calf market on Tuesday, remember that the steer calves were $3 to $6 higher, and the heifer calves mostly firm. But talked to my friends there at St. Joe Stockyards. A lot of you know that I was there for a long time as a federal market reporter, and they were telling me that Mark Service, the manager and owner there, he told me he had some strings of feeder heifers that really sold good on Wednesday, and give me a quote there of 60 good black heifers weighed 618 pounds at 162. Now that's a humdinger for a sale there. And as I was getting this report ready, I went in and looked at the market report that I did for years and years and years there on the USDA website, and was troubled and disappointed and disgusted to see that the non-trained reporter there marked those heifers as replacements. They went to the same feedlot buyer that buys most of the cattle there every week. And that's kind of the way it's going with some of these federal market reporters. They don't get trained anymore, and we trained in that market. That was the training grounds for years and years. And the guys that trained us, the old school guys, they grew up on the bricks, and that's where their training come from, as market reporters on the bricks in the old terminal markets in Kansas City and St. Joe and Sioux Falls and Omaha and St. Paul. And then they knew that relationships was where you find out what the market's doing, not just looking at things black and white. But we've got a whole different upper management now. They got busy and gave them all selves big fat raises in that 2 months between Trump winning the election and being inaugurated, and now their pay grade's all too high to go sit in a stinky old dusty sale barn anymore. But they're not training these young people that are coming on either. But some of you guys are lucky enough to live in states that still have state market reporting programs, like Virginia and Kentucky and Missouri, places like that. You've got a lot of good state reporters there. I've worked with a lot of them. They're homegrown, they know the people, they know the cattle, they know the area, and they're still doing you a good job. But right here at DV Auction and Cattle Market Central, we're putting out these automated market reports, and there's a lot of information to be had there. You can get on there and query for whatever you want, whatever weight, whatever area, whatever time, or if you want to do it overtime, you can do about anything you want. I signed up another half a dozen new sales to start contributing their market data into Cattle Market Central just today here. But let's look at some individual quotes off Cattle Market Central. Bluegrass Stockyards in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. 122 head of steers weighed 872 pounds at 149.85. And then a quote from a sale that you may not think of, but listen here at Hardin County Stockyards in Savannah, Tennessee, one of our newest sale barns on Cattle Market Central. 63 head of steers, 816 pounds, $145 in the ring in Savannah, Tennessee. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.